Okay, so do you want to bring us in?
Yeah, so welcome back to our next episode of Hot Ghouls Club. Where this one actually going to be, Tara's going to be taking charge.
Yeah, she is.
And it's a new year, new us, bitches, so look the fuck out.
Yes, we're recording this on the 1st, New Year's Day. So we hope everybody had a happy and safe New Year's.
Yep.
And we're ready to bring in 2025.
Don't pass on sober drivers. I saw that when I was driving.
Oh, well, it's a little too late.
Well,
If people...
unless you have a problem, then don't pass on sober drivers.
Oh, yeah, in general. Like Karen Huger of The Real Housewives of Potomac. Google it. Neither here nor there.
New year, new us, right?
I hope for Karen it's true. Okay, guys, I'm going to dive into our case today. We will be diving into the mysterious and tragic death of Ellen Rae Greenberg. To this day, her death doesn't necessarily remain unsolved. It has been closed, I believe, by the police department, but her parents are still fighting for justice. You can find updates along with calls for answers there's Instagram pages dedicated to Ellen's case, and there's even a petition on change.org. So before I dive into her mysterious death, I just want to talk a little bit about Ellen.
Okay.
So Ellen Rae Greenberg was born in New York City on June 23rd, 1983.
Love a New Yorker.
Love a New Yorker. And she was raised in Harrisburg, New York, which is just a little bit upstate.
Okay.
Her parents are Josh and Sandy Greenberg. And at the time of her death in January 2011, she was living in Philadelphia.
Okay.
Ellen worked as a first grade teacher at school district in Philadelphia, and she was engaged to her fiance, Sam Goldberg, and they had been together for 3 years at the time of her death.
Okay.
Tragically, her death was ruled a suicide, though many believe there's much more to the story.
Oh, shit.
Dun, dun, dun.
Oh, my God.
So let's go through the day of her death. So Ellen's final day seemed ordinary at first.
Okay.
It was early January, and she was working, so she was with her class, and a blizzard had hit the area. And so I don't know if it said that she released her class early or the school released it. I would assume more the school released it. I can't imagine my teacher having the power just to dismiss my one class.
Yeah, no,
I think the whole school went home. And essentially she went directly home, but it was later determined through a receipt that she did stop at a gas station and filled up her tank before she got home.
Responsible.
Love
a responsible queen.
Planning for the future.
You,
Potentially.
Yeah.
Or potentially not.
I mean, keeping track of that.
So the last person to see her alive was her fiance that I mentioned, Sam Goldberg.
Okay.
After Ellen left the school, everything that followed has been described from Sam's perspective, because he's the only other person, the only witness, really.
Yeah.
According to him, it was just a typical day. He arrived home, and Ellen began preparing dinner while Sam went to the gym in their apartment building, which I believe was on the first floor.
Okay.
And there is video footage.
Do we know what floor they were on?
I think it was the 6th or the 7th.
Oh. Okay.
So it was a floor high enough that somebody couldn't have really broken in from the balcony.
Okay.
Just a note.
Yeah.
And there is video footage of him coming out of the elevator, going into the gym. I believe everything kind of
matches what
with what he said. He came out of the gym sweaty, all of that. He went to go get mail, and then he made his way back upstairs.
Okay.
A little after 30 minutes into his workout, Sam returned back to back to the apartment, only to find that their apartment door was locked. So obviously it was locked and he had keys, but he repeatedly referred to the door as being locked by a deadbolt, but it was not a deadbolt, and I think I should put a picture of it in our post. It wasn't the chain, the sliding chain one. It's the newer ones you see in hotels that just closes. It's a triangle shape.
Yeah.
So the door opens up a little bit.
Okay.
So that was latched, is what he said.
Yeah.
And Sam claimed that he couldn't get in and eventually had to break down the door. But he was calling, knocking, I'm assuming Ellen, calling out to her and texting her, but received no response. And these are the texts that Sam sent to Ellen in within 20 minutes.
Okay.
Hello? Open the door. What are you doing? I'm getting pissed. Hello? You better have an excuse. What the fuck? And you have no idea. Those are just a series of texts that he had sent to her while waiting. I don't necessarily like to give my opinion. I will say if I'm locked out of my own apartment for 30 minutes, I might get a little angry too.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
But I think I would probably get more concerned.
100%. I would
after
be
10 minutes, I'd be like, what's going on?
Yeah. I would imagine that I know that there's mechanisms that they have that can unlatch those kind of doors, and I wonder if that's something that the management might have. Why not ask them for help? You know what I mean?
So It is later said that he, like, when he gave his,
I wouldn't even wait for that. I would be like, I wouldn't even be texting. I go right to the manager, right to somebody that can open up that little mechanism.
Well, there are a couple of things. Apparently, if you go onto YouTube, you can find ways to open up that little lock, like with the credit card or something else.
Yeah.
But Sam said he did go downstairs and talked, I think, to the doorman or like the security doorman.
Okay.
And asked him if he could help, like, get into the apartment. And he claimed that the guy, I think his, I can't remember what his name is, I apologize, but that he went up with him and was with him when he broke in. Like, the doorman was standing right there.
Okay.
Because he's like, no, I have no way to getting in. Like, I guess he brought him up to help him. Later, it's apparently said that the doorman does not corroborate that story.
Oh.
So...
He's like, my boy. And then he's like, no, I'm not your boy.
I'm not your boy. I ain't your boy. Okay, so after So Sam was alone when he broke into the apartment.
Okay.
So he broke into the apartment, and when Sam finally managed to get inside, he was met with a horrifying scene. Ellen was lying in a pool of blood in the kitchen.
Oh my God.
And so from my understanding of the apartment too, and I'm sure we have tons of apartment like buildings around us on Long Island. It's very similar to ones I've seen, like you walk into the kitchens like right to the right.
Okay, yeah.
So it was kind of when he first walked in, he saw that. He immediately allegedly called 911, and you can actually hear the full 911 call on the Crime Junkie podcast, and I encourage you to listen for yourself. So Jamie went into this case relatively blind. Like, she's definitely heard of it, but not like in depth. And I did have her listen to the 911 call before the recording, and I would like her to share her thoughts on it now.
So obviously I'm a little bit like questioning a lot of things. I don't know if you guys picked up on that, like as far as the guy, because when I was listening to this, he, as one would be okay, I have a lot of thoughts, but so as one would, he calls 911, gets in touch with a dispatcher. He's very frantic at first. You know, you can kind of hear him jumbling with his words.
Yes. As soon as like he connects.
Yeah, exactly. And then the lady's like the teacher from Bueller, like, hello.
I know. We don't.
What do you want? Like, first of all, obviously this man's going through a traumatic event.
Yeah.
Like, let's get things together, dispatchers, please. Like, it's not hard to be empathetic. And if you can't,
just slightly,
maybe it's not your job.
Maybe
you know what I mean?
Supervisor. You don't need to take the calls.
Exactly. So there's that thought there. But yeah, so then throughout it, you kind of hear him. He's describing the scene, and the scene is. It's pretty gory. He says that there's a lot of blood everywhere, that she's kind of like laying down, she's on the floor, that
he can't figure out why she's bleeding.
Has no idea. And then he gets in touch with emergency response, I believe.
Yeah, it's either the fire department or ambulance, but they're the people that got the ambulance and everybody to come.
I actually liked her. She
was really good.
Yeah, so she was like a little bit more with it. She was like, listen, like, I know that, like, she was basically like, I know there's a lot going on, but I need you to calm down because we have to walk through this together. Tell me what you see. He says, repeats it. There's a lot of blood. Don't know what's happened. She seems like she's not breathing. She goes, okay, so we're going to try and perform CPR together. He was like, ugh, what?
Okay, she might have exaggerated that a little bit, but he was kind of
literally
he kind of like did do that.
He was like
she made a sound. No, he made a sound because then she said, "Are you willing to do CPR?" And then he said,
I'm pretty sure he was like, yeah, I mean, I guess I have to, right?
Yeah, he was like, I guess I have to.
What do you mean you guess you have to?
That would I am CPR certified, so maybe and I'm just like a jump into action type person, unfortunately. I'd rather run away. I really wish I was the type of person to run. I don't think I would question it.
There's
I mean,
so
maybe
many...
maybe the blood and everything, but not if it was my fiance. Maybe if
I
it
would
was a stranger, maybe
searching. I would have had so much blood all over me.
Yeah,
because I would have been searching for that pulse. I would have been searching for any kind of life. And I'm not CPR certified, but girl, I'm gonna try it. I've seen plenty on the TV. You know what I mean? And I feel like that's enough.
Because she asked if he knew CPR, and he said no. So she said, "I'm gonna walk you through it." And CPR is pretty fucking simple.
Yeah, it's.
Staying alive. Okay, so she described the phone call, and did the phone call raise the hairs on the back of your neck, give you a little suspicion?
For sure. I think the biggest part was that he was like, oh, there's a knife in her chest.
Well, what I thought was crazy is she's and listen, I'm 100% understand. I'm not a big like person that goes hard on how people act like right in the moment or like during the death. Like everybody grieves and reacts in a different way. And one of my biggest like call outs for that, and I don't know if you've ever seen this, is the Amanda Knox case of that foreign exchange American student in Italy.
Yes.
whose roommate was
yes.
murdered. Mm-hmm. There's a documentary on Netflix. I definitely maybe want to do that one day. I love that story for some reason. And she was just kind of like a little weird.
Yeah.
You know, so whatever. Anyway, so yeah, I mean, it was weird. The call at first, you're like, oh no, this is definitely somebody in shock going through something, and then it got kind of, it's weird. But
the not jumping into wanting to do the CPR was like what, for me, raised a flag.
Yeah, and then what I was saying, sorry, is the woman had asked if she was on her back, and he said yes, but he could have also been messed up, because if she was on her back, he would have already seen the knife, because it seems like he turned her over, and he was like, oh my god, she stabbed herself, she fell on her knife. He said all that.
Yeah, he did.
He immediately didn't jump to somebody hurt her either.
I completely
which I feel like I might have, like, if it was a very obviously clear-cut suicide, at least how it is in like movies and books and also in history, then maybe, but suicide by stabbing is very difficult.
Yeah. Yeah, and he also like was saying how he didn't know where the blood was coming from. So obviously, I think given that, it like just for the one spot to be in where the knife was, I think that, I don't know, because to me, I'm like, maybe that would have led me to believe that there's other wounds elsewhere than just the knife in the chest. Mm-hmm. But again, maybe not, because, you know, I've never been through something like that, so I don't know.
Okay, so thank you, Jamie. I appreciate you listening to the call and giving your insight. Police and first responders arrived, and they confirmed that Ellen, unfortunately, was dead. And the crime scene was chilling. Ellen was found slumped against the lower kitchen cabinets. There was food on the counter, evidence that she had been in the middle of, I think it was either preparing dinner or she was like cutting up fruit for a fruit salad. She was doing something actively. Okay. There was no signs of a struggle, no defensive moves on her body, and no evidence that she had fought back. Ellen had been stabbed 20 times, with 10 of those stab wounds to her neck.
20 times?
20. And some of them were more superficial. Okay. Like a couple centimeters deep. Obviously, the one in her heart was a big one, but she was stabbed 20 times. 10 of those to her neck. And there was also several stab wounds to the back of her head.
You're joking.
I'm not joking. And her cause of death was determined to be a deep stab wound to the heart, approximately 4 inches in depth.
So, like, she was, like, living through all 19 other stabs.
I do get into that a little bit of, like, what the stabs did to her, but there is conflicting theories of, like, if it rendered her incapable of continuing, or if she was stabbing herself, or, like, caused her a lot of pain, or cut off the pain. This case is so messy. I'll just say that.
Yeah.
So, this is the suicide, right? So, the suicide theory, I apologize. So, despite the brutal nature of her death, the police initially leaned towards the idea of a suicide. There were a few key pieces of evidence that led them down this path, starting with Sam's testimony. He claimed that the door had been locked from the inside, which made it seem unlikely that someone else had entered the apartment. Plus, the snow on the balcony was undisturbed, further supporting the idea that no one had forced their way in. So what other key factors may you ask the police to determine the suicide? So the two things I just mentioned, also that I had mentioned before, there was no defensive wounds on Ellen's body, which led investigators to speculate that she hadn't fought off an attacker.
Yeah, that's the non-defensive wounds is.
It could also be that she knew her attacker. Just double.
And it was like a surprise attack.
The word blitz attack has been mentioned. This case has been covered a lot of times, and a lot of professionals have had their hands and eyes on this case because of how unclear it is to a lot of people. So like a blitz attack is talked. Obviously, you don't usually have defensive wounds if you know your attacker, especially if one of the first few stab wounds renders you unable to defend yourself, or you're just caught off by surprise. Second, and so these are obviously things that they did learn in the days following her death. A few suicide-related searches were found on Ellen's computer, including phrases like painless suicide, and I think also like suicide by knife. Ellen had been seeing a psychiatrist for anxiety and stress relating to her job. I do want to say she had only ever seen the psychiatrist 3 times. That's thrice. Yeah. And the psychiatrist said that she was not suicidal and that her relationship seemed fine. Okay. They also did a toxology report, which showed small amounts of prescribed medications in her system, Klonopin, Xanax, and Ambien. While the levels didn't suggest abuse, all 3 drugs have been linked to suicidal ideations in some individuals, which is very common. I mean, these are all mental health ones.
Yeah.
Xanax, Klonopin, Ambien. Those drugs are going to change some sort of chemical in your body because it's trying to help you, and sometimes it has have a negative effect.
And okay, because I was gonna say, because for the most part, if you're going on these drugs and you're getting on this medication, like you obviously want to be better and you want to continue your life.
And then Ellen had also recently told her parents that she was thinking of returning home for a brief stay to reset and get away from the stress. But she assured them it had nothing to do with her relationship.
Well, I mean,
we always do. No, I'm just kidding. So then the investigation took a strange turn when Sam Goldberg's uncle, who happened to be a prominent judge, reached out to the building manager to collect some of Ellen's things.
And this is the guy?
For her funeral. This is
uncle?
The fiance's uncle.
Okay, I forgot who's Goldberg and...
Goldberg is the fiance. Okay. Greenberg is the one who passed.
Okay.
But Sam's uncle, who, like I said, was a judge in the area, reached out to the building manager to collect some of Ellen's things for her funeral. I will say, Ellen and her family are Jewish, and so in the Jewish faith, you do have to have the funeral very quickly. Okay, so they said that they had reached out to the building manager to ask if they can get like a dress and jewelry and stuff for her to be dressed.
Yeah.
The building manager first contacted the police before giving them permission because in her mind she was like, it's obviously like an active crime scene, and she called them, I think it was like the day after or something, and they said, no, it's no longer a crime scene, you can go in. She's like, okay, but like everything's covered in blood, like what am I supposed to do? I'm sure she was much more professional than that. They said you have to contract a third party to take care of that, which is very common. There's like crime scene cleanup places, which she did, and then they came within a day or two, cleaned everything up.
I mean, I don't know if that's the best choice.
But the police were not going to go back to the apartment to investigate.
So they were done.
Yes. So she got the apartment cleaned, and then she, gave permission to Sam's uncle and I believe his cousin to go into the apartment. So they did remove several things, including both of Ellen's laptops and phone, which were not immediately handed over to the police or given to Ellen's parents.
Are you serious?
But once it was discovered that they have that, he immediately gave it over to the police. They had it for like 4 days or something like that.
I mean, that's more than enough time to do whatever you wanted to do with a computer. And why would you take the computer? Like, why need that? You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Why is that necessary?
So there were some serious criticisms of how the police...
And this was the judge that took it?
This was the judge that
Uncle Judge.
Uncle Judge. You can do anything when you have a judge in your family.
I am listening and I am judging.
As he does. Mm-hmm. So there were serious criticisms of how the police handled the case.
Obviously.
Probably like how we are doing right now.
Yeah.
For one, there was like no luminal testing to see if any blood had been cleaned up at the scene of the crime, which is kind of standard in suspicious deaths, which I personally believe this was a suspicious death.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, how are you going to see that this person was stabbed 20 times and just like, suicide. And then clean it up? Within a 3-day period? Like, that's wild.
And then the police also didn't thoroughly corroborate Sam's account of events, and they collected very little physical evidence overall. Like, I haven't seen anything of them. And listen, like, the only DNA that's going to be in the apartment, I'm assuming, is Ellen and Sam. So, like, even if they did tests for fingerprints, his fingerprints were probably going to be on the knife no matter what. Like, he didn't have any markings on him. It didn't seem like he had been in a kerfuffle. Kerfuffle, I almost said. That's that. And then the cause of the death, which was initially ruled a suicide at the crime scene, which I didn't even know you could do, was later changed to a homicide after the autopsy. But then the ruling was switched back to a suicide after the medical examiner met with the police behind closed doors.
You're joking.
I'm not.
Is that even legal?
I didn't know there was procedure whatsoever. I didn't know, like, they did the autopsy and then they met with the police to talk about what circumstantial evidence.
Yeah, like, this is what I have, this is my finding, and that's it. Like, I thought that, I don't, like, like, how are you going to be like, oh, yeah, for sure, like, homicide? Because I'm pretty sure that there's, like, a section that you can actually even, like, the examiner can check off saying, like, undetermined. Mm-hmm. So if that's the case,
at least
hit that. You know what I mean?
The thing is I think when you check that undetermined, it also leaves it open for the case to be investigated.
Yeah.
From my understanding, Sam Goldberg has never been questioned.
Really?
That's kind of weird.
Why?
I think he was brought to the police
judge?
department. No, the guy, the fiance.
Oh my gosh, sorry.
The fiance was never questioned. And the uncle was questioned by, like, the public, like, why would you have taken that? And his representative said he did nothing wrong. And the the laptops
Why?
were never put into custody, so we didn't tamper with any evidence or anything like that. And as soon as the police asked for the laptops and the cell phone, they gave it back.
I guess because maybe you can determine whether or not somebody was deleting stuff, but still, I don't know.
I don't know what they did.
Yeah,
and
like,
there's
did they
never
actually
been-
look into it?
Not
Or
that-
did they just have it in their like evidence room?
Not that the public is aware.
Mm-hmm.
Two people who absolutely do not think that this was a suicide, like I had mentioned in the beginning, are Ellen's parents,
I think
Josh,
rightfully so at this point.
Josh and Sandy. I do like to be cautious about when people say, she never would have done something like this. She wasn't the type of person to kill herself. When we see time and time
Yeah.
again, nobody is the type of person that would have killed themselves. Like,
So true.
everybody thinks that they know somebody until, like, something like this happens. Like, you never really know what demons people are fighting for, or fighting with, not fighting for, me. And I will say, like, her saying that, like, she's having a lot of stress from her job.
Yeah.
Like, that's a lot. Like, stress from a job is, like, I feel like the number one killer in the U.S. Like, whether
you're there for like most of your life while you're awake. That's what you're doing.
being a teacher is extremely stressful. So I'm
Yeah.
curious,
I
like,
guess if they're
what
mean.
stressors she was coming up against. Like, because they also said, like, when they, like, some of the arguments that her parents had was, like, her classroom was so organized. She had
Yeah.
lesson plans already. She was actually supposed to submit everybody's grades that day, too. So I don't know if she just, like, who knows? Who knows what just
she
happened?
snapped.
Yeah, like, you never know. But anyway, her parents truly do feel like they know their daughter.
Yeah.
And that she wouldn't have just jumped to this conclusion. And that she...
I think that's kind of fair and sane.
I think that's fair too,
you know?
because she was talking to them about
Yeah.
wanting to come home. She was obviously open about meeting with the psychiatrist and doing taking medications. I would say, like, in reality, kind of in my opinion, unless, like, the probability of a suicide is if something happened with the medications.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. Is
And
that
really-
was like what kind of triggered her, like, chemical imbalance and like that, like we're about to say
You're
before,
just not
make her
yourself.
snap, like,
And so her parents have actually worked with their own experts over the last, 13 years. Lawyers, medical professionals, law enforcement officials. They've had people examine the autopsy reports. They've talked to investigators that do, like, freelance work. They've, they've had multiple lawyers because they truly, truly, truly do not believe that this was a suicide. And I will say the majority of the people that they have contracted to work with them or, like, engaged with, they feel that the evidence points more toward homicide than suicide.
I mean, I feel like, obviously I'm not a professional as much as, like, I wish I was. I mean, I did have a lot of schooling when it comes to criminal justice. It's like very big in my background. But I don't have any on the scene or in the I'm in the field. I've never been in the field, obviously. But I think that I would like to think that if I was in that position and I was seeing that this woman that was clearly stabbed, like, multiple 10. I'll give you 10.
On the
you know
back
what I mean?
of the head.
On the back of the head. The places, the placements, everything. That's just weird to me, and I would have liked to think that I would have taken the time to dive in a little bit deeper, whether it be into the apartment. I think that was a big letdown that the police and the detectives really had for.
Well, they said the apartment was, it looked normal. It was essentially undisturbed. Like, the only real glaring thing was her body covered in blood, and, like how Sam said on the phone, that I think there was blood on the counter. Like
Truly a snapped kind of moment, because a lot of times suicides too, they would, take the time to clean up an apartment, it's been said that they take time, like if you're planning a suicide, that you would clean up your quarters where you're living, so that way it's not a burden to the person that you might be leaving behind.
But she wasn't doing any of those, like, very stereotypical suicidal things that I'm aware of. Like, she wasn't saying goodbye to people. She wasn't giving stuff away. She was planning a wedding with this guy. Like, I mean, I know she was very stressed out. She's probably super stressed out from planning the wedding, stressed out from her job, stressed out. It could have been money. It could have been so many different things that you're stressed from.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, it is really sad, but I do... I don't want to be totally biased in this, but I do feel the police maybe...
Like, was there any other knives used, or was it just one knife used?
I did hear that it seemed like there might have been two different types of stab wounds, but I don't know if that's the case. It's very it's very unclear because I think that the police have been pretty like tight-lipped a lot on their information.
Yeah.
I mean, the people that her parents have engaged, like this one guy did a full like hour-long Q&A about like all of the questions that people might have regarding her case. And yeah, I mean, it's
Is that on
just
change.org? You could find that?
no, you can find that actually on Facebook. I can link
Oh,
it.
okay.
Yeah, he goes through a slew of questions that people have about, and all of the experts that Ellen's parents have engaged with. Like I said, they worked really closely with them on trying to essentially clear their daughter's name. You know,
Yeah.
they don't want this. I am also assuming, you know, maybe they don't want this to be how their daughter's remembered. She is remembered like very fondly.
It's so
by,
tragic to have like somebody that you love dearly and for their passing to be remembered in such a horrific way that's tough. Again, I don't know, but I could imagine it being like a hard thing where like you want people to remember who she was and all the love and light that she was able to give to the people that were around her.
I mean, you could see it there's so many photos of her, obviously, because she did pass in 2011. So that was like the world of Facebook and taking photos. She was always smiling. She seemed like a very pleasant person. You know, has photos of her with her class, her students, apologies, so with her first grade class.
Yeah.
She definitely seemed, you know, like a happy person. You never really know what somebody's going through, but I do feel, yeah, it's a little bit suspicious. And I also feel, you know, even if it was a suicide, who was going to be held accountable for that? Should the psychiatrist who prescribed her all these different medications? I can't
Right off the
imagine
rip, yeah.
meeting a psychiatrist and being prescribed 3 different medications. And I don't even think those were the only 3 that she was prescribed. Mixing Klonopin, Xanax, and Ambien, I don't think is like any joke.
Like off the rip too. That's yeah.
And I don't know.
I didn't even think
exactly.
about that. Like off the rip to be seeing this person for three times, 3 sessions.
Yeah, and I mean, she was on very low doses, like maybe like 5 milligrams, stuff like that. It's like kind of hard to
Start
abuse.
off at 1, you know?
No, I don't think you could. I think 5 is where you start, but still, it's pretty.
5 is where you start.
Milligram.
Oh no, start off at 1 pill.
Oh
like
no, 5
one
milligram,
medication.
1 pill, absolutely.
Yeah.
One medication,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah. Start one at a
Sorry.
time, and then if you need to increase it.
Yeah. So unfortunately, from my understanding, that this case has been ruled and closed as a suicide. Ellen's parents continue to advocate for their daughter.
Yeah.
Because they know who she was. They want her to be remembered for the bright light that she was in a lot of people's lives. You can go to change.org.
The fact that they went back and forth too, I'm so sorry, but the fact that they went back and forth about whether or not it was a suicide and a homicide, that should have been like clarity enough to like, let's not rule it.
Ruling it a suicide at the scene was just so irresponsible. They shouldn't have ruled anything until an autopsy was done, in my opinion.
I'm like livid. I'm like, the more I think about it, I'm like, why? Just why?
And this
all these
case
decisions.
gets covered, all the time. It is a very suspicious death. I think maybe one day we will find out more.
Hopefully.
And then another little tidbit.
Yeah.
Sam Goldberg did get married 3 years after her death.
I can't stand men.
Yeah. So he's married with a kid.
So fucking dumb. With a kid.
With a kid. I saw that, yeah. Okay, well, thank you guys for joining us on this roller coaster of a journey for Ellen Rae Greenberg and the mysterious reasoning behind her untimely death.
Yeah.
Like I said, you can go to change.org if you would like to sign the petition. There are Facebook or Instagram pages that you can support her family in getting answers. There are tons of other podcasts that cover this case. I'm going to link all of the articles that I found. There's like endless articles online. So many people have covered this because it is so suspicious, and they truly only went off of one man's testimony.
Yeah.
But I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope I did Ellen some justice.
I think you did.
And some insight into kind of mental health, and also how mental health can be weaponized too. Like she was going through these things, and that just kind of led them to immediately. It's clear that they don't have a good understanding of mental health issues and how to handle those situations.
Almost like that could have been like a write-off for her.
Exactly. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
We will catch you in the shadows, and stay ghouly.